despite my better judgment in walking away. I simply have to see this through. I've decided I'm going to try and open the door. I've done nothing but think this over the past couple days, and if this isn't complete bullshit. If the door opens and leads to the other side, I know exactly what I will wish for. I've spent days attempting to word it as carefully as possible, and I believe that I have worded it exactly as I need to keep myself safe. I'm a massive skeptic in life in general. Maybe to a fault even. I just feel in my gut there is more to it than enlightenment. Everybody knows deals with the devil aren't free, and that the cost is your soul. That's why I have worded my deal the way I have. I'm not going to presume I'm smarter than Lucifer himself, the king of tricks, but just maybe I can get through this without selling my soul. Anyway, I'm getting slightly ahead of myself. After I decided I was going to finish this, I went back to my storage unit and pulled the door down behind me. The door was similar to a garage door. It had a lever you could twist in the center of the door on the inside that would then extend two small arms into a notch on either side, essentially locking the door since it would then catch and prevent the door from opening. I then set up shop, so to speak. I brought a fold-up TV tray with me and set it up right next to the door. I would place the statues there. I once again retrieved the statues from the box of magazines and took them out one by one. I examined each one upon taking them out. There weren't any markings or engravings or anything on any of them. I wondered which one was supposed to be which. I did some research at home about each supposed prince and didn't really find anything that would associate any of them with a sword, shield, or book. I also wondered what the colors meant. I figured white for the light, black for the darkness, and red must have been for blood was all I could think of. Again, I wondered who was supposed to be each color. It seemed like all three of them would fit the black darkness perfectly. I set each one on the table one at a time. I thought maybe something would happen as each one was presented. I'm not really sure what I expected, but nothing happened anyway as I set each on the table. After I set the third one down, I stepped back for a second. Again, not sure what I expected to happen, but with all three presented, I thought at least the door would start glowing or something. But nothing happened. I pulled the key from my pocket and looked at it. It had not changed again since the first time. It still had a grin on its face. As I moved towards the door with the key in my hand, I paused and second-guessed myself. Am I really doing this? What the fuck am I thinking? I reassure myself that I know what I'm going to do. So I continued and stepped up to the door. I looked at the door and the statues again quickly to see if they were doing anything, and they weren't. I have to admit I was still surprised that given what was about to happen. There was nothing to indicate opening this door would take me to hell. No glow, no sounds, nothing. I put my shaking hand with key and toe up to the lock. I'd never shook this bad about anything. I've never been more terrified in my life. I feel like I'm going pee and shit in my pants at the same time before I finally jam the key in and turn it. I'm breathing heavy as I put my hand on the doorknob. I can't do it. I pull myself away from the door. Fucking A. I'm too scared to open it. I collect myself before reevaluating what I'm going to do next. Telling myself I can do this, I move towards the door again. I paused and thought things over again. My internal monologue keeps telling me to just do it, without thinking. I impulsively grabbed the knob and flung the door open, revealing a positively horrifying, blank, concrete wall. Oh, for fuck's sake. Seriously? I stand there in awe for about 30 seconds before I slam the door shut. How fucking stupid am I? I stand there with my hands on my hips and my head down, staring at the ground, shaking my head. I could not fucking believe I fell for it. It wasn't just that it was bullshit all along. The fact was, of course, it was bullshit all along. This had to be somebody's well-prepared, thoroughly thought-out gag. All the other notes in the box were people in on it or adding their own horseshit flavor to a long-running joke. I wondered how many people had just done what I did and then proceeded to add some notes of their own. Thank God whoever created this wasn't there to see me like that, falling for it hook, line, and sinker like an idiot. I slumped down on the floor, leaning against the back wall, and let out a long sigh. I felt probably the stupidest I'd ever felt in my life. I start to calm down though after a few minutes, telling myself it's not like anybody will ever know about this anyway. It's not like I did this in front of a crowd who were all in on it and they're all pointing at me laughing now. I felt like a dumbass for getting taken like this. But at least all that was lost was a little personal pride. And honestly, I bet with all three statues as a set, they'd fetch a fine price somewhere. I stand up and go to the table I set up. I picked up the white statue and looked it over again. My mind started to drift, wondering maybe they're fake. Maybe it didn't work because these aren't actually the three princes. I mean, there's literally nothing to equate any of these statues to any of them. No, my internal monologue brings me back to earth. I tell myself to stop thinking about this. The entire thing is fake. It's a fairy tale. A story someone made up to have fun. I already fell for it once. I will not again. Not only that, the key was in on it too. I bet it was out of someone's magic kit. It was a trick key that the smile and frown were somehow interchangeable. And it belonged to whoever wrote the note about it. I started to get angry again. Mostly for my mind drifting, trying to once again make excuses for why it didn't work. I was angry that I felt like a fool. Audience or not, I picked up the case the statues were in, held it high over my head, and slammed it down to the ground, which of course broke it. The lid broke off the little hinges it had in the tray the statues had all been resting and came out as well. I took a deep breath. I felt dumb again for getting so angry and now breaking the only thing that was able to transport the statues around completely safely. But at the same thing, breaking something felt good. I bend over to start cleaning up my mess. The bottom of the case is laying face down. I pick it up first. I stop abruptly when I pick it up. There's an envelope sitting on the ground underneath it. Where did it come from? Not only was there nothing else in the case when I opened it, there wasn't even any room for anything. The tray with the slots for the statues took up the entire case. The top of portion of the case also did not have a sleeve like most briefcases do for documents or anything. So where did this come from? I decided it must have been under the statue tray. That's literally the only place it could have been. I picked up the envelope and sat down on the ground. It was blank, and unlike the first envelope, this one was sealed. I opened the envelope and found a handwritten note inside on several pages. Greetings. I hate to sound so unbearably cliche, but if you are reading this note, I am likely dead. I do hope this letter is found in the storage locker I have set up, or this will likely make little sense. I have purposely not paid the rent on this locker so that after my death, hopefully someone outside my family that is intuitive enough will purchase its contents and find this letter and understand the gravity of this situation. I will start at the beginning. My family have been devil worshippers for many centuries. The line of devil worship is long, dating as far back as possibly even the medieval ages. I'm not sure about how many greats, but a grandmother of mine has been verified to have been a witch in Salem, going undetected during the well-known witch hunt. Some time after this, they dedicated themselves to a prophecy in order to conjure the devil himself. The prophecy apparently stated that Lucifer's kingdom could be accessed by mortals to grant them their deepest desire. All that was needed were 3 statues, imbued with the evil energy of Lucifer's foremost lieutenants, and the key supposedly carved by Lucifer himself. Despite the fantastical nature of this prophecy, the statues are real, as is the key. The key itself was uncovered sometime in the 1700s around the neck of a knight of the First Crusade when a crypt was accidentally uncovered under a church somewhere in Europe. I don't know who from my line acquired it, but it was apparently bought for a hefty price. The statues also have a history that I know little about. The statue representing Beelzebub was apparently uncovered in the debris of Pompeii after its destruction in 79 AD when the volcano erupted, one of the most well-known and documented volcanic eruptions in history. The Leviathan statue was uncovered from a shipwreck off the coast of Morocco in 1518. It was reportedly in immaculate condition despite the rest of the items found being quite deteriorated from extended exposure to salt water. The statue of Asmodeus was found in a brothel in Rome in 1925. The owners apparently didn't realize the value of this statue or what it even was, as they had it on display more or less as their mascot given its, we'll say, appearance. This is the only statue that I know how it was acquired by my family. Someone apparently recognized it and swiped it and ran. My family has spent decades trying to fulfill this prophecy, but to no avail. This is the reason I am likely dead. It has been uncovered that a rogue faction of my family, including myself, understands the danger of this prophecy and has secretly been sabotaging it for years. My great-grandfather was the one who found the statue of Asmodeus. He was the thief. He kept this hidden from the rest of his brothers and sisters while they continued in vain searching for it. Grandfather Wynne, you may have saved billions of lives, having acquired 2 statues and the key. Hope of ever finding the 3rd statue was waning. Many cousins and other members of our extended family have searched for clues their entire lives. All these clues are in a separate box that constantly changes possession as each family member hunts for clues, which you may or may not have found. It had become a competition to find the final statue and be the first to open the way, as the key proclaims if you have found it as well. The competition ended when the final statue was found by a sabotaging relative, but the door remains unopened since shortly after the 3rd statue was found, the key mysteriously disappeared. The thing is, all 3 statues are accounted for, just nobody knows it. I've buried one of them in concrete in the foundation of my home, hoping if it is ever found decades will have passed. grandfather also took the location of his statue to his grave. If his siblings knew what he had done, he probably would not have been placed in the family mausoleum. After he was cremated, they'd probably have thrown his ashes in the trash. As for the last statue, my sabotaging uncle took it with him and buried it in the basement of an empty crypt at the cemetery. He hid the entrance to this basement so that the crypt now appears to be a simple one-room shrine home to no one but stray cats, as you may have guessed. The 3 statues enclosed are fake forgeries carved by a family friend. These forgeries were passed down to the younger members of the family while the real ones were taken, leading them to believe these fakes were the real ones. Luckily, this has not been uncovered yet since the key to hell is still missing. It has been in my possession, which I am now placing in one of the jacket pockets nearby. If you haven't found it yet, take it. I'm not sure who will come for me for sabotaging the prophecy, but it is unavoidable. I tried to cover my tracks by constructing a door in here to make it look like I was doing my part, but it is too late. They just wouldn't listen. Deals with the devil come at a price. They always have and always will. They don't call it a deal with the devil for no reason. It's because you think you're getting something good when in reality whoever the devil is in your deal is the one who really wins. In the case with this prophecy, with the doorway open, the forces of hell have a way to enter our reality. And you can probably guess what happens after that. Whoever finds this letter, I beg you to understand that this prophecy is very real. Hell on earth must be avoided. The door must remain closed. I've done my part by hiding the statues. Take the key with you and leave. Leave some notes in the other box. It's only a matter of time before the locker is found by my family and the box of notes recovered. Leave a note saying you bought the locker and there was nothing in here. Let them have the notes so they can continue their quest in vain. That way they will have no reason to come and look for you, because they will if they think you know something. And of course, destroy this letter. There was no signature or name on it. I didn't even know what to think. I felt like I was getting sucked back in all over again. Some of this sounded legit, but once again, this could all be part of the big charade that made me feel like a nutsack in the end. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling of, but what if it's not? I took some of your advice and asked who the previous owner was. I was told that was confidential, and the invoice on the transfer of the locker in my name had previous owner blacked out, but it was in basic marker. I got an idea and I decided to go out to my car and get it. When I got back inside, I held it up to the bright light to see if I could make out the name that was blacked out. Sure enough, the marker job was done poorly and I was able to see his name. This must be the same person who wrote the letter. I suddenly had an idea. A master plan was almost instantly laid out in my mind. The letter was left by the previous owner in a hiding spot he thought I would be able to find, even though I found it on accident. I still found it. It's like it was meant to be. It was his hope that whoever found his letter would continue to sabotage the prophecy by taking the key, with the hope that his devil-worshipping family would now never be able to find it since it was now out of the family for good. Luckily for our friend, sabotage was my intention. Unluckily for him though, in his statement revealing that the real statues were hidden away hopefully forever, he inadvertently told me where all 3 of them were. I had his name now, which means I should be able to find his house where he said one was hidden. Acquiring it may be difficult, but at least I know where it is. He also mentioned his grandfather being enshrined in the family mausoleum. In his tribute to his grandfather, he mentions him by name. Now that I know their last name, I should be able to find their mausoleum as well. That's at least the place to start. As for the third one, he mentioned an empty crypt which will contain something out of place, concealing the entrance to the basement. If it's not in the same graveyard as their family mausoleum, I'll check every cemetery in town until I find it, and then expand if I don't. That's my master plan. I'm going after the statues. I have to know if they're real. I know a lot of you are going to say just leave it, but the real statues hidden away as they are and the key with me. There's no way their family could possibly conjure Lucifer now. I'm trying not to be arrogant, but I consider myself to be very intelligent. I'm going to do exactly what he said. I'm going to leave a note in the box like he said. And not only that, I'm going to return the fake statues to his family. That should throw them off my trail for good and even put me in their good graces. Trust me on this. I know what I'm doing. I'll shake his family and then no one will potentially be on my tail as I get the real statues. I'm going to the guy's house first. It's scary how fast you can find where someone lives this day and age. I used Zillow and found that it is currently in a state of foreclosure. That means it's empty. He mentioned the foundation, so I'm guessing it's in the basement. I'm going to take care of a couple loose ends before I go to the house. I need a plan of action anyway. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Wish me luck.